no, he's hiding.
Wait, I'll go behind there so this way they'll go crazy when we talk like this. They won't know that we're over.
Hey, everybody! Fan Expo Dallas 2015. You guys are already a fantastic crowd. You're going to become an even more amazing crowd for the one, the only, the voiceover legend. He's ready. He's doing his air boxing. He's going to win the heavyweight championship of the world, Mr. Tom Kenny.
What is your comfort level? Would you prefer I'm on this side or this side?
I mean, I'm fine either way, to be honest. You could be over here, you could be over here. I mean, what are you feeling like?
You know what? How much time do we have?
I mean, we've got a little under an hour. Okay. Maybe we'll go over a little. Maybe we'll see
which one feels better.
We have a microphone set up here. We are going to take questions from the audience. I've got a few questions for...
Okay, cool. Thanks for coming here, guys. Thank you so much. It's great being here and meeting all the fans and everything. It's something that we don't often get to do. I don't do very many cons at all, so this is, it's really exhilarating to meet everybody. It's really nice.
You get to spend a lot of time in a booth.
Yes,
recording things.
a lot of time in an airless, windowless cubicle, but with some of the most entertaining, hilarious people in the world, you know?
Do you find yourself doing a lot of solo recording? Do you have an opportunity to do group recording sessions with people?
You know, I'm really lucky that most of the stuff that I work on tends to record ensemble, which is, you know, kind of getting increasingly rare, but for some reason the stuff that I record all seems to be some of the only shows that still do that. Like, you know, ensemble, of course, kids being, you know, where all the actors are in the room at the same time instead of everybody recording separately and then they Frankenstein it together later. But, you know, SpongeBob is ensemble, Adventure Time's ensemble, Ninja Turtles is pretty much usually ensemble, Clarence is ensemble, you know, they're all Brickleberry is usually ensemble. So yeah, you're usually hanging around getting juice off the other actors. It's, you know, sometimes when we do games and things like that, you have to go in and just do your 8,000 lines alone for the game. And you really feel the weirdness of not having Patrick and Squidward and Sandy. And
you're doing a lot of grunting alone.
Yeah, yeah. Hard impact, soft impact, you know, taking damage, giving damage, you know. Video games are tough. They're hard work. But for me, getting in the booth and doing, you know, a cartoon, like just a funny cartoon that's a story, and you're just going crazy and having fun and, you know, getting paid to do all the stuff that got you sent to the principal's office when you were in 3rd grade. You know, it's really a weird yet incredibly lucky feeling.
Something that I was talking to Tara Strong about earlier, that I like going over with voiceover actors because we have a lot of questions often about how do I get into this? How do I do voices for cartoons? How do I do this? Do you have a theater background and an acting background that lies in some form of training, whether it was acting classes, whether it was formal schooling?
No, you know, I did everything wrong. You know, I know you have a theater background, so...
oh, shut up, this isn't about me.
I started doing, you know, I had a weird path. So, like, people say, how do I break into voiceover? You know, how did you do it? And my advice is useless because I did it in such a weird, elliptical, roundabout way. I started doing stand-up comedy still in high school. And playing in bar bands in places that I wasn't even old enough to be in while I was still in high school with older guys. Nobody knew how young I was. And then, so I was already doing that in high school, so the hook was already in my mouth, and I'm like, wow, this might be my ticket out of here. You know, I grew up in Syracuse, New York, which is, you know, very, yeah, hey, where are my Syracuse people?
Syracuse, right up there.
315, never forget, yeah. But it's, you know, there's not a lot of show business there, right? It's a beautiful place. All my family still lives there. Out of 5 siblings, I'm the only one who realized that you're free to go.
Escaped.
And it's like, we can leave. And you know, I kind of looked around and was like, wow, I don't want to work in the Chrysler plant. I don't want to be a meat cutter, which, you know, I had an uncle that was going, Tommy, if you're a butcher, you get in the union, it's a good life, you know, it's good, you know. I'm like, you know, I just can't see myself hacking up bovine corpses for the rest of my life. I want to do something fun, you know.
And then looking at you and they're like, fun, enjoy life, what are you talking about?
So long story short, I stumbled into it through stand-up. I kind of, after years of messing around, I started to make a living pretty quick at stand-up, actually. And somebody saw me at the Improv in LA and said, you know, somebody from Hanna-Barbera, actually, which is then kind of became Cartoon Network. They said, you know, have you ever thought about doing cartoon voiceovers? And I was like, yeah, every day.
I mean, as a kid, did you watch cartoons,
yes,
Tom?
Yes.
Did you enjoy cartoons?
Yeah.
What were your go-tos?
This is what I always wanted to do. Like, I'm literally the kid who, like, always wanted to be an astronaut and then kind of becomes an astronaut. And being an astronaut doesn't suck. You know what I mean? You're like, wow, you know? Because I think a lot of people go, oh, I want to do that. And then you wind up doing it and you're going, this wasn't as much fun as I thought it would be when I was a kid. And voiceover is every bit as fun, if not more, as I thought it would be when I was a kid. I was obsessed with cartoons, and you know, you asked which ones. You know, I grew up in the '60s and '70s, so a lot of weird old black and white cartoons that seemed like they were from another planet. You know what I mean? It was just whatever your local station showed in those pre-cable TV days, like weird, freaky old Betty Boop cartoons and crazy black and white Popeye cartoons with like this jazz music, Cab Calloway in it, and Louis Armstrong, like all this cool music in it. It really did. Now that I realize, like, so much stuff that I'm obsessed about came from those shows and those years. You know, Bullwinkle and Rocky was like a favorite of mine, Rocky and Bullwinkle, and Looney Tunes, of course, which are hardly even on anymore. Right?
I mean, if
you're an 8-year-old kid that wants to buy, you got to buy a Blu-ray set if you're an 8-year-old that wants to watch classic Looney Tunes, and maybe they show them on Boomerang or something once in a while. But yeah, that stuff was just such a big part of me, and I didn't really know how to go about breaking into it. So like I said, I started doing stand-up and did pretty good at that. Made a living at it.
You got on a stage. You got on a stage. You were
I got on a stage, yeah,
which
was really not in character for me. You know, I kind of wanted, like, people always go, you must have been the class clown with all your nutty voices, and I go, I was not the class clown.
Social observation humor, Tom Kenny.
I was not the class clown. Like there was another guy that was the class clown, and I would write material for him. That's true. I was like, people go, you must have been the class clown. I go, I was the class clown's head writer. You know, it's like, I really was. I would go, you know, I think this fart joke will work for you during math class. You know, and that guy, of course, some people might know, was Bobcat Goldthwait, who went on to become a comedian
and a director now.
And now a very lauded, like, indie director whose latest documentary, they say, might be up for an Oscar. They don't know. So yeah, this kid, we were just like goofballs. Like, since first grade on, me and Bobcat were just like, you know, he was the fat kid that was horrible at sports. I was the skinny kid that was horrible at sports. So we bonded over being horrible at sports, and then you know, we sort of kind of boosted each other up through high school and going on at open mics and all this. And he was the one who said, you know, you should do stand-up. You know, you're funny. You do characters. You do voices. And I was like, I think I'm more of a background kind of guy. You know. And he said, get out there. You know. And so Bobcat kind of kicked my butt into doing it for the first time when we were still 16 years old in high school. And you know, I liked it. You know, I always kind of wanted to do it, but I just didn't have the cojones. You know. Mm-hmm. So I was like the shy-ish kid. And so really, I have him to thank, really. Like, there's certain people throughout your career that you just go, wow, if it wasn't for that guy and me knowing him, I probably might not have been on this path. I'm so glad I know that guy. And, you know, Bobcat is one. Joe Murray, that created Rocko's Modern Life, is another one. He gave me my first job in a cartoon.
Heifer.
Yeah, Heifer. Joe Murray, Rocko's Modern Life fans.
Everybody bought the DVDs, right? I'm not the only one. Come on.
Shout Factory.
Shout Factory.
I think I've signed a couple of them at the table. But yeah, Joe Murray was the guy who, you know, I really wanted to do voiceover, and he gave me my first ongoing series character, which was Heifer. You know, that was a hoot. You know, which was based on my then teenage nephew. You know, like he was sort of this guy. He was always seemed like he was on the verge of laughing every time. So Heifer just kind of came out of my nephew, who's now like a grown man with kids and stuff. But yeah, so you know, certain people that you run into, where you go, wow, you know, it's like my life would be different if I hadn't come across this person. You know, there's a handful of those people in your life that you just are so grateful for.
We have a wonderful array of fabulous guests at this show, but I want to say, Tom, you might take the nerd crown as like nerd bona fides. You're picking out Hulk art on kids' shirts as they come up to your table and going, you know who drew that? Is this person. This is why they're important. You should go find those comic books.
That's
what
right.
were your
That's
comic
right.
books, man?
That's right. That's I took. Yeah, because there was somebody that had a drawing of Hulk by Marie Severin, who was like one of the few Silver Age female comic artists. You know, it's just like, you know, that was a man's world back then. And she, absolutely, I know, I'm a nerd. You're right. I've got the nerd crown. Wait, don't talk to me about crowns. Last time I put on a crown, it didn't work out so well.
Are there projects like Adventure Time that you get the first script and you look at it